So, I wanted to do another narcissist talk video, and I saw something the other day about this, and this really resonated with me a lot. And this is something that narcissistic guys will do. A lot of times with a source that found out about them or broke up with them, stopped seeing them, ended the relationship, they call them psycho. They'll call that girl a psycho or a crazy ex-girlfriend or a psycho girl or a psycho ex-girlfriend. I'm going to talk about that. You hear this a lot. And not that you hear it a lot, but sometimes you'll hear a story about, oh, she was psycho, or you'll be on a date with a guy. And that guy will be describing his ex. And he'll call her psycho ex-girlfriend, or she was psycho, or you might just be talking to a friend and be like, yeah, he was psycho. You know, it's like, okay, the term, and why do they do this? Why do they call that person psycho or a crazy ex, okay? Now, narcissistic men do things, right? They abuse you, right? They narcissistically manipulate and abuse you in a way where it kind of brings this craziness, this instability to your relationship with them, right? Because they're abusing you, you're catching on to the abuse, you're calling them out on the abuse, they're lying to you, you're calling out the lies, you're noticing the lies, you're observing them, and you're seeing what they're doing, and you know what they're doing. So you're talking about it, you're bringing it to light, right? And when that happens, the narcissist has no other way out but to call you a psycho or to call you crazy, okay? This is what they do. This is a big, huge sign of a narcissist, okay? Narcissists call their ex-girlfriends crazy or psycho. They do this. That's what they do. A guy who isn't a narcissist can talk about their ex and just say, look, we had problems. They recognize that they were part of the problem too. They realize the relationship wasn't working and they just break up, right? A narcissist will call their ex names, psycho, crazy. And this is a big sign, huge sign, that most likely they are a narcissist, okay? Most likely they're a narcissist. Every time it's a narcissist that does that, okay? Okay, so the term crazy ex-girlfriend or psycho ex-girlfriend or just psycho or whatever is used to discredit the victim, and it shifts the focus away from the abuser's the abuser's behavior. Okay, so the story is kind of switched over. It's like, well, she's crazy, she's psycho, right? But they don't talk about, well, what were you doing that warranted that kind of behavior? They don't put the focus on them. They put the focus on you. But they don't talk about why. What were they doing to bring out or to cause that term of crazy or psycho, right? They leave that out. They don't talk about the entire story. They only put bits and pieces in there. So you're like, okay, but that really wasn't the whole story. You got to tell them what you did, right? Narcissists don't do that. They leave that completely out. They blame shift everything on you. So they don't talk about the whole story. You only get little jabs and jibs of little things. So you have to understand, like, that's a big part of why, how this starts. Another thing that they do is the narcissist will do something, whether it's lying, cheating, whatever that awful negative thing is, to you, and then you react to it. And what the narcissist will do is they will focus on your reaction. Whatever that reaction is, maybe it's screaming at them, yelling at them, calling them out, calling them names, calling them a lying, cheating bastard, whatever you're doing, whatever you're doing, right? And then they'll say you're crazy, you're nuts, you're psycho, you're a whack job, you're a real whack job, right? And you're like, well, I don't think so, right? They focus on your reaction. They don't focus on what they did. They don't focus on their own behavior. So that is another, part of this whole thing that they do to you, okay? Now, they blame shift. So calling you these names takes, they put it on you. They cannot ever be flawed. A narcissist will never, ever take any blame, okay? Their insecurities, all those things that they have, they will never take accountability for those. They'll never say, you know what, I know it was me, I was wrong, They don't do that. They are not able to do that. So they'll call you names that don't fit you at all and discredit you. They love to discredit you. My narcissist did it to me all the time. I know other narcissists too. Like, of course, I've dated other narcissists in my life. I talk mainly about the one that I had a really long relationship with, but I've dated other narcissistic guys too. And they all do this. They discredit you. And they don't talk about what they did, right? They'll just say in passing, oh yeah, she's really crazy. She's really psycho. And you're like, well, no, I'm not. Talk to anybody else who knows me. They would never call me those names because they know that I'm not that way. But with a narcissist, they do this because it takes the blame off of them. It puts the focus on you. And they don't ever have to talk about themselves. But as time goes on, you'll know that guy is a full-blown narcissist, okay? Because any normal guy would never do that. They would say, you know what? It was me. I was doing this, I was doing that. I understand her feelings. Because narcissists do not empathize. They don't understand your feelings. They don't understand their own behavior. They understand shit. And that is why any kind of relationship with them, even a friend, even to be a friend to them, is a no-go. It's NG. No good. Because it's never going to be right. It's never going to be good. It is never going to be normal. It's going to be a dysfunctional thing between the two of you. It's never going to be right. Ever. And the minute you see this kind of shit going on, it's when you have to remove yourself from that bad connection. You got to get the hell out of there. Because it's not going to work itself out. It's not going to change. It's going to get worse. Always worse. Never better. So yes, they distort reality. They'll call you names. All right. They will cause confusion. They will invalidate your feelings. They will contradict a lot. And, by doing this, now some women will think they really are. There are very weak-minded women out there who they get gaslighted by this narcissist, and they start to their self-esteem starts to go down because they're like, well, maybe I am really nuts. There are weak people out there who don't have any self-esteem, and the narcissist does try to break down your self-esteem. They do try and do that to you. They will, but you have to be a strong person, and you have to know your worth. One thing that never happened to me with my narcissists that I've dated is it never affected me. It never affected my worth. It never brought down my self-esteem. I've always had really good self-esteem. I've always had a good self-worth. I've always had high standards my entire life. Nothing anyone ever did to me ever was able to really bother me, ever, because I know I have confidence in who I am, and I know that I'm a good person, and narcissists will prey on good people. They do. They do. All right. So another thing that narcissists do is the narcissist knows what buttons to push, okay? Um, they know what to say to you, they know what to do to you, and they know how to get you going, okay? And maybe it's crying, whatever, yelling, while they're acting, calm and innocent, they're making you go nuts, right? So this is something that they'll do too. They'll kind of push buttons, bait and switch, whatever you want to call it, to kind of get you upset. On purpose. On purpose. There is a smear campaign, and I never really got into the smear campaign because I never really needed to do that with mine or anyone I've ever dated. There was never any smear campaign because we don't run in the same circles. I don't know any of their friends or whatever, so I don't really, not now I don't, you know what I mean? But like, there is no smear campaign, but I understand what a smear campaign is. So, narcissists will use crazy as a label, as a smear campaign to damage your reputation and kind of isolate you from your support system. Yeah, they do that a lot. They'll spread false and exaggerated information about you to friends, family, and new partners to ensure that if you ever speak out against them, you won't be believed. Absolutely, yes. And by branding you as the unstable or vengeful ex, the narcissist protects their public image and rewrites the history of the relationship in their favor. Absolutely, ding, 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 ding. Yes, they do. They rewrite history. They make it that everything was your fault, that you were crazy, that you were nuts, that you were this, that you were that. They rewrite the entire script. And you're like, things were not like that. That is not how it happened. But that is what they do. All right. By branding you as unstable or crazy, it protects their image and puts everything on you. And like I said, this is a total narcissistic, tactic that they do. Narcissists will never say anything really good about you. They're not going to ever say anything positive about you. Like, you know what? She's a great person. Or she was really sweet. Or she was really forgiving to me. Or she was really... They never say anything positive about you. It's always going to be in their favor, and they rewrite history. I remember when I saw mine, the last time I saw him, I was expressing regret. I was expressing regret on our breakup. I was trying to tell him that, I really didn't want to break up with you, but I had no choice. You were a dick to me, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I asked him why. I remember I said, why did it happen like that? He was also expressing regret. I'm not sure what his regret was about. He was expressing regret over whatever, and I was expressing regret over me and him. Like, I don't know what he was talking about, but I was talking about me and him and saying, I really wish it didn't happen like this. Why did things go like this? Like, why? And he completely rewrote history. He says, well, you were crazy. You thought I was cheating on you. You thought I was cheating on you. You became crazy with this cheating. And that really wasn't the case at all. At all. He doesn't talk about why I felt like he was cheating. He didn't talk about what was he doing that made me feel that he was cheating. We no longer celebrated holidays together anymore. Every, weekends he would go off with his friend. That's what he told me he was doing. Was he really doing that? I don't know. He would get up and go out with him. That was more important to him. We were supposed to be getting married. That fell through the cracks. That never happened. Lots of his promises. None of his promises came true that he... Like, why wouldn't I think he was cheating? Like, there was nothing that made me feel that he wasn't. Like, all of what was happening at that time was pointing towards something very shifty and shady going on. Absolutely, without a doubt. He no longer wanted me to live with him. He no longer wanted me to be there. I can go on and on and on. I can go on as to why I felt he was cheating. But that wasn't it. I wanted him to tell me, when I asked him, why did things happen the way they did? Why did we really break up? I wanted him to say, because I was an asshole to you. I was doing this behind your back. I was going out on weekends without you. I was doing this. I didn't care about our relationship anymore. I didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. You know, he should have just told me the truth, but he didn't. He blamed it on me and said it was because I was calling him a cheater. Well, when you're with a guy and they buy you an engagement ring, and you're with them for many years, you're living with them many years, you're having a normal relationship with them, okay, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, one day, it's not like that anymore. You have to ask the question, fucking why, right? You want to know fucking why, right? And you never get an answer. All they do is make up these things, and this is what they do, and this is where the crazy making kind of begins, because they don't talk about what they have done to make you feel the way you do. They don't talk about their downfalls or their mistakes. If I went back specifically to where my relationship with my ex-narcissist went wrong, it was at the point when, yes, he started hanging out with the new person who introduced him probably to new people. Most likely that's what happened. I believe that is the point of when our relationship started to decline. Yes. When I look back to that relationship, that's what I remember. That's what I see. Before he started associating with a particular guy, my relationship with a narcissist was okay. It was a lot better than it had become. It was more of a normal relationship. Yes, he cared. He put forth effort. We did things together. It was still normal. I would say probably 9, 10, 11, 12, about 5 years in. About 5 years in, it started to go bad. So, about 2013, end of 2013, things started to go bad. Yeah. So that's the truth. That is the reality of it. But they will, and I was like, when he said that to me, you're calling me a cheater, the cheating, you became nuts with the cheating. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. Our relationship was dying, and I was trying to save it. You were doing this on the weekends. We stopped celebrating holidays together. We stopped doing everything together. You know, even seeing his family members. I wasn't even seeing his family members anymore. You know, I used to enjoy seeing his family. I really enjoyed them a lot. Especially one of his family members I really loved. You know, he was like a good friend, and he kept me apart from him. I wasn't able to see his family anymore, and it was really shitty. It was really crappy. And these are all the things that he did, not me. Why wouldn't I think he was cheating? Yeah, it became pretty bad. It did. And I should have left way before I did. But when you're not sure of what's going on, like I wasn't 100% on anything, I was unsure, it kind of leaves you in this blurry area where you're not really sure what to do. I was hoping things would change and get better, but they didn't. It got worse. So they never get better, guys. They always, always, always get worse. But when a narcissist is calling you crazy, calling you psycho, don't believe it. You know that that's not the truth. The narcissist will never talk about what made you feel that way or what brought out maybe that kind of, persona, or what caused you to feel or to, whatever it was, cry or kind of continue to look for answers, because they drive you to that point. They will do that. I remember my narcissist used to, and I know he used to do this on purpose. Like, my narcissist had a friend through, he had a friend through, PlayStation or whatever, and he would constantly always, I know he used to do this on purpose. Now, he knows this woman, it was a female friend of his, would never ever talk to me. Would never even, ever talk to me. And that relationship always made me feel really weird. Because he would never speak to her in front of me. He would talk to all his other friends in front of me, but never that particular one. And I didn't understand it. I never understood. I'm like, why can't you just talk to her in front of me? I don't care. Like, you can talk to her. I don't give a shit. But he never did. And sometimes he would, on purpose, I know he did this on purpose, deliberately, put, like on the way home from work. This is a good example. Or when he was maybe, doing something, maybe he was out getting something to eat, and maybe he was going to bring home food for us or whatever. He would do that sometimes. Sometimes he just go out and have a drink after work with his buddies, right? Well, people do that, right? I didn't care he did that. I was like, oh, do it. Have fun. I'll see you when you get home. I was doing my own thing. I had my friends that I talked to. I used to do my own thing. I didn't care about what he was doing. I gave him a lot of freedom. And then he would get home and he'd leave his phone out. And I'm like, I just glance at it. I wouldn't go through it. I would just glance at the thing. And I'd see oh, he's putting little heart and emoji, little things to this woman, this girl. Call her a woman, call her a girl. I'm like, what's that about? So you're texting her and texting me at the same time? That would bother me a little bit. Now, I'm not lying. I wasn't jealous, no. But it kind of was bothering me that he was texting her, while he's having drinks with his friends, he's texting this girl. Now, I know this girl was only a friend, but it still bothered me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Even though she was it doesn't matter what she looked like. It bothered me. It bothered me a lot. And I would say, this kind of bothers me, But at the same time, I really I shouldn't have been mad at him because I did the same thing with my guy friends, But my guy friends would talk to him. My guy friends a lot of times would say, hey, how you doing? My guy friends, would never ignore him. They always noticed him, or they also always included him. If I was on the phone with one of my guy friends, and I'd be talking about football, my guy friends knew that he was a certain fan of a certain team, and he'd say, hey, when's so-and-so's team playing? Oh, and it was always like that with my friends. They always respected him, whereas on the other side of the thing, I don't feel that his friends did. But I also feel that my ex-narcissist used to badmouth me to these people. And I feel that he used to badmouth me to this particular woman, girl, whatever you want to call her. So I think that's why there was that weirdness between us. Because whenever we would talk, he kind of played me against this girl, and it was weird. It was really weird. It was a really strange thing, guys. A lot of times the narcissists will do this. They'll do this with either a friend, a female friend, or an ex-girlfriend. All right? They will kind of pit you against each other, almost to fight each other. They do this on purpose. And it's really funky. Really, really funky. And personally, for me, I needed my guy friends when I was dating him, because my ex-narcissist wasn't enough of communicating. We didn't communicate enough. I needed to communicate with my friends as well, because they also, I needed them. I needed them in my life. My narcissist wasn't enough as far as being able just to talk just to him. He just With my narcissist, I did certain things. I would talk about certain things with him. But with my friends, I would talk about different things that my narcissist and me did not talk about. So I needed my friends. I had to have them. And most of my girlfriends are married. In fact, all of them are married with children. So I always kind of had guy friends because my guy friends were single, and I kind of related to them better than my married girlfriends, because their lives were very busy, taking care of their kids and stuff like that. I didn't have much in common with them anymore, but my guy friends I did. So that's why I always had more guy friends as I got older. But yeah, the narcissists will do this. Look out for it. They do all these crazy making bullshit things to you. And then they wonder, why do things go like this? They don't look at themselves. They never look within to see the shit that they did that caused your reaction, that caused you to act the way you did, to cause myself to call him a cheater. Why wouldn't I? I remember with the flirting, he would just flirt with people right in front of me. We would go to the store, whether it was Lowe's or Home Depot or any kind of store where there was a customer service person. He would just start talking to them right in front of me. And having long, drawn-out conversations with them while I'm standing there. I'm like, look, can we leave? I want to get out of this fucking place. Like, I don't want to sit in Lowe's all night, And he's sitting there talking to these people, having a full-on, 2-hour conversation with them. I didn't appreciate that. There were a lot of things that he would do, and I know now that it was done deliberately, to cause friction, to cause distrust, to cause, annoyance, friction, dis-ease, a lot of dis-ease. They don't like peace. They want to fight. They want to stir up arguments. They like to have an out. I talked about this in other videos. Narcissists love to have an out. When things are going well between two people, between you and them, you're going to want to expect things, right? You're like, well, things are going really well. Things have been going great for the last 3 years. This is wonderful, right? You're like, wow, I'm really happy. We're going to go on to the next level. We're going to probably get married and have children. The narcissist doesn't really want those things. This is the thing, like, the narcissist will deliberately cause havoc in that relationship because they don't want those things. Narcissists never want a kind of like formal relationship with you or a committed relationship with you where they have to be responsible, and they don't really want that. The narcissist only looks at you as a temporary fix because they know they're going to fuck up the relationship sooner or later, and they're going to be on to somebody new. They know this. Even their family knows this. Their family knows it too. They know that they're not able to sustain a relationship. When we were going to get married, at one point. We had broken up for about a month and a half, almost 2 months we broke up. We broke up for a little while. I wouldn't say it was 2 months. I would say about a good, maybe 7 weeks. And I wasn't dating anybody else. I was really looking at being single again. And one night, I hadn't heard from him, actually. What happened was we broke up for about 6-7 weeks. And I hadn't heard from him. And one night I just texted him and I was like, I haven't heard from you. Are you doing okay? Like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And I said, well, I think, I want to talk to you. And I went over there. I said, I'm going to come over and I want to just talk to you. And it was real weird because we hadn't talked for a while. We were broken up. And I went over there, we had dinner, he made a really nice dinner for us, and we talked, and it was really nice to see him. I hadn't seen him in like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. It was a long time for us. And I didn't stay over there. I didn't sleep over. I went home that night. because I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay broken up or if I wanted to, you know, get back together, or what was going to really happen between us. The relationship had reached a point where it was right before, it was like probably the last time we broken up for a while. That was our longest breakup before we actually broke up. It was like 7 weeks. And I had actually met another guy during this time. Actually, I'm trying to remember who the guy was. Yes, I did. I met another guy. Very, very nice guy. I should have gave him a chance, but I didn't. And he was in the military, and he was actually not in the military. He used to be in the military. He wasn't in the military at that point. He was in the military when he was younger. And really nice guy who I should have gave a chance to. And yet again, I fucked up, and I didn't. And I got back together with my ex-narcissist. And at that point, he told me that he wanted to get married and all this other stuff. And we took it serious for a little while. For about, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, we took it seriously. I remember his parents were like, we're really happy, but we're a little bit scared too, because we know that, you guys don't get along all the time. And also, it wasn't just that we didn't get along, but they knew that he was unstable. I think that they knew that they were trying to tell me that we know it's not you. And in fact, the family even told me. In fact, the family said, we know that it's not you. And I really appreciated that, because I always felt like whenever we broke up, they always pointed the finger at me. But they didn't. In fact, his one family member said, I know that it's not all you. I know that he is a big part of your fighting and everything. And I was really appreciative of them seeing that, because it wasn't all me. I was trying to make peace with him all the time, and it was just impossible, and it was just really hard. And I feel like they wanted that for him. They wanted him to be married and stuff like that. I think that they wanted that, but they also felt like it may not work out. So they were trying to protect him as well. And I understood that. It was a hard situation. At that point, I was looking, possibly to get married. Yeah, maybe even to have kids. But it just wasn't meant to be, because it never happened. And it never came to pass. The whole thing just went down the toilet. And I was really hurt by that. That was like a huge, huge, huge downfall in my relationship with my ex-narcissist, was when we were talking about getting married. We were actually, trying to get things together, and it didn't happen. That was huge for me. That was a huge, huge, huge disappointment. Big disappointment. Because I was telling everybody, my guy friends were like, oh, that's great. Like, I'm going to invite them to the wedding. Like, I was like, oh, it's going to be good for you to finally meet each other. Like, I was so excited about the whole thing. And he just disappointed as usual. And at that point, the relationship never got back on its feet after that. Like, it never got better after that. Like, after that happened, that was basically the beginning of the end, and that was it. I never moved back in with him. My distrust for him became even more distrustful, and that was it. I started seeing him a lot less. And at that point, it wasn't even a relationship anymore. At that point, the breakup should have happened. But I was still kind of hanging on, even though I shouldn't have been. But I was pretty much gone. Like, I was kind of gone at that point. But yes, there usually is some kind of a thing that happens with your narcissist. With me, that was the beginning of the end. When he broke that promise, I was done. I was done. At that point, during that time, everything was based on if we were going to be together or if we were going to break up. And basically, he chose to break up because not getting married and doing all that, telling everybody about it, and then not going through with it was a big slap in the face. And it really was. It was horrible. So that was his choice. And I think even until this day, he is not able to recognize me. He has to be the victim in this. He's the victim. Because I was calling him a cheater. Well, why did I call you a cheater? Did someone just wake up one day and start calling somebody a cheater? Just, out of the blue? Or are things being done to make you believe that you are? Are you doing things to make that other person feel that you are? And that's what he never recognized, is that he has to be the victim. And narcissists are always the victim. It's always them. That's the victim. When in fact, I was the victim of this massive manipulator, of this, horrible manipulator, game player. And that's what happened. So this went into a story time. It went into 35 minutes. I know this is very, very long, but I didn't mean for it to be long, but I'm just trying to show people these are the stories that you're going to tell if you end up with a narcissist. These are the things that will happen to you if you stay with a narcissist. So recognize these things early on so it doesn't get to this point. All my videos talk about the abuse, the toxic behavior, things that they do to you that you're going to go through if you stay with these people. Recognize it in the very beginning. So that's it for this one. I can't believe it's 35 minutes. Oh my God, 37.